Is it hot in here, or is it just UNLV football on an absolute heater, reaching double-digit victories for the third time in program history, first time in this millennium? Will the Rebels finally crack the college football playoff? We're breaking it all down. Don't go anywhere. Sin City Beat starts right now.
From Las Vegas, this is Sin City Beat.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on Sin City Beat. I'm Mariah Jano. Sin City Beat is the show that dissects the Vegas sports world through the eyes of the sports reporters leading the charge. Joining the action today, we have Ray Brewer, managing editor of the Las Vegas Sun, our very own Paloma Villicana, sports reporter and anchor with Fox 5 Las Vegas, and the great Steve Cofield of ESPN Las Vegas. Thank you for joining us, you guys. Over the past 2 seasons, at the helm of Barry Odom, UNLV football seems to reach new heights by the week. After Saturday's 38-14 win over rival UNR, the Fremont Cannon remains red for the 3rd consecutive year. And what a statement game that was, with contributions from all around. Steve, let's start with you. You're on the call for these games. What really put the exclamation point on this win for the Rebels?
You know, for me, the weird thing, and Ray's going to be much better at explaining the rivalry, I got out of that game and I was like, this was just another part of the mission. And it's not as if UNLV was like, no big deal, but it kind of was no big deal. This was always the biggest game. You had to get it done, but they got it done pretty easily, and now there are bigger goals. For the first time ever, UNLV has conference championships in mind, and potentially in the first year of the CFP, they can make it, and it's nuts. Did
that seem like just any other game to you?
I mean, my blood's blowing a little bit because I look at your graphic and it says UNLV beating Nevada, and we all know it's UNR, not Nevada, but it's fine.
I'll give my producer a call right now, James Edward Berrickman IV. You are in trouble, sir.
I'm just saying, the players knew they had to get, like Steve said, get over this hurdle to get to the greener pastures of Boise State. But for the people they play for, the locals, people born and raised like myself who've lived through everything, beating Reno is so important. It's the most important game of the year. We're doing jumping jacks. We saw Michigan beat Ohio State earlier in the day. We're like, oh boy, we're going to be in trouble.
Anything can happen.
Could you imagine Reno ending this perfect ride?
Yeah.
So it shows where the program's at, where it was like, let's just get through this bottom feeder team and get on to the bigger things on the horizon. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, PV, after the game, we heard Haj Malik Williams talk about that sense of urgency still being there despite the opponent. And we've seen it so many times where, there is such a differentiation between the two teams, and maybe the favorite will sit back a little bit, be on their heels. But they still played with that intensity. How important was that here?
Yeah, I think they don't care who they're playing. Like this week, they don't care that they're playing Boise. They don't care where they are, on the road, at home. It doesn't matter to them. Barry Odom has said multiple times, they'll play in the parking lot. They're going to bring their best ball. So against UNR, I mean, obviously, they had lost 5 in a row. The Wolfpack were 3-9 heading into that matchup. And UNLV dominated in all 3 phases, and that's what we've seen. And I think that's what Barry Odom wants to credit every week, is how much they're improving each game on each side of the ball. So I think they rolled up 351 yards rushing. Haj Malik Williams had another great game. Caden Chittenden, one of the best kickers in the nation. Defense was playing lights out too. So you only want to see your team trending as you get into the Mountain West Championship game. And right now, I believe UNLV football is playing their best ball of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Haj Malik Williams for a second. 14 of 21, 168 yards. Excuse me, averaging 10.4 yards on 10 rushes, through at least 1 score, and ran for at least 1 score in the same game for the 7th time in his 9 starts this season. Considering he wasn't the starter out of the gate, Steve, how have you just seen him embrace this opportunity as the starter and just grab it by the horns?
First, leadership. I mean, I think he had the team behind him when he first got the job, but you can see what a leader he is. Working the sidelines. He sits by himself. There's a couple of chats with different players, but there's no bickering on the sidelines. He and Brendan Marion connect, and I think he's getting better. They really want to run RPO a lot, and that takes good decision making. And at first, he wasn't that efficient at it. Now I think he's playing as good as he's played. And the bigger thing is for the Go-Go. I always thought they wanted to get the edge and have a running quarterback. And this guy, I think he's a very underrated runner. He's got 768. He can break the single season rushing record of Armani Rogers. And he rushed for 105 the last time against Boise. So out of everyone on the offense, maybe even Ricky White, Boise probably wants to concentrate heavily on making sure that they can keep Haj Malik in the pocket.
Wow, it's going to be a really interesting game that we are in for you guys. Thank you so much. And like in any industry, the success of a business starts from the top down, and UNLV football is absolutely no different. The product Barry Odom has put on display for the past 2 seasons is proof of that. But what separates BO from the rest of the pack? We'll discuss it next.
You're watching Sin City Beat.
Welcome back. The UNLV football program has seen 4 head coaching changes since 2010, but in 2023, they seem to have finally struck gold with the hiring of Barry Odom, and since then, he's led the program to back-to-back historic seasons. Ray, you've been in the Vegas sports scene for quite some time. You've seen the coaches come and go. What is it about Barry Odom that's really stuck, and he just keeps on delivering with this team?
So I think Barry came into this job very prepared. He listened to what went wrong with the previous coaching staffs, and he had a great game plan. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to overcompensate and do that. And he made such a great impact in the community before the ball was even kicked off. He won the offseason. And then what happened is he was able to get he identified the right players to fit into his system. And everything has just been, it's just taken off. So great credit to him all the way around, being the face of the program, the CEO of the program, but finding the players he wanted to execute his vision and getting to the finish line on that. I think obviously the transfer portal has been a huge help. Other coaches have had to build with, great freshman classes and trying to get them to matriculate through the system. Barry's able to get guys who were proven or needed a chance to prove themselves, and they just took off.
Yeah, Paloma, how have you seen Barry Odom kind of adjust with the transfer portal each year? Players are going to come and go, but he really has made the most of his situation.
And he used his career at Arkansas, at Missouri. He got the players that he needed. Of course, all the transfers from Arkansas are having a huge year with Barry Odom. So he got his guys and brought them to UNLV, got his coaches and brought them to UNLV. From day one of fall camp practice, I go, oh, this is an SEC practice. The way they run their practice, the way they game plan and execute, it's an SEC building. So it's really exciting to see that. And then for me, what sticks out about Barry Odom is that freshmen are able to succeed in his program. Caden Chittenden, Jet Thomas last year. He's got a lot of freshmen that are playing really well, and that's exciting to see the future. And then one thing is that the players love him too. Right. All these guys love him. They have captains meetings where the UNLV captains sit down with Barry Odom and he asks them, like, what do we need to do this week? What changes do we need to do this week? So if anything, it's not about him at all. It's about the team and it's about winning, and that's how he's had success.
I mean, Steve, after the history of coaches that we've had here and players not exactly buying in, just how much of a statement is it that these players are showing their appreciation for their coach and buying in fully to this program?
Well, I think it's a full coaching staff thing. The coaches you brought in, there's a lot of veteran coaches. They're the younger coaches. Akeem Davis is a rising star. I think players trust their coaches, and that goes up to the respect for Odom. For me, the biggest thing with Barry Odom is delegation. He is not one of these guys who has to have control of everything. And really, as a college football coach, you can't during the game and in the prep. So he delegates. He trusts Brennan Marion. He really trusts a younger guy in Mike Shear. We know he has trust in James Shebest because that's a big part of practice. I've never seen anything like it. Special teams that often in practice. It's amazing. And then the other one is he hated the transfer portal. He hated what was happening at Missouri and maybe even a little bit at Arkansas. And he told the story. His wife was like, if you are going to survive, you got to cut this out. You have to embrace this thing. And look what they do. You mentioned Arkansas, right? So it's players coming down a level. There's players moving over, on the lateral. Their 2 quarterbacks were Holy Cross and Campbell. You know how many East Coast schools are within range of both of those kids, Sluka? And it turned out that was a mess. But you know how many schools could use quarterbacks like that, and they just overlooked them? But their job in the portal has been amazing. I'll give you one other thing. Deion's done a good job, but when Deion came into Colorado and was like, losers, everyone get out. He basically said that.
Right.
Barry Odom looked around the roster that Arroyo left behind. Arroyo left behind some really good players. Ricky White being one. Marcel McDuffie is going to be the Jackson Woodard of next year. Balungai, Ambule. There's a core of about 18 to 20 players that he kept around. They can build the building blocks, and it's worked.
One other thing we didn't mention, Barry Odom's got a $2 billion stadium to recruit to. and all the other
Yeah.
coaches before him were recruiting to the lead athletic complex that you share with girls soccer and softball and playing at Sam Boyd Stadium where you got to bite the mosquitoes.
So give credit to Tony Sanchez. And I know Arroyo wasn't well liked by the media and a lot of people on campus, but he could recruit, so he had players. But you're right, it was a bigger challenge for the previous coaches. But Odom came in, and I loved right from the get-go. He's like, we're not rebuilding. Like, we're going to win from here. We're going to win now.
And in Allegiant Stadium, as you mentioned, the venue upgrade is huge. What college player wouldn't want to play in an NFL stadium? So that's cool. But P, really quick, I know you've covered this team for quite some time, and we've been talking about 2-10 in years past. They've got double-digit victories right now. Just what does that mean for this city and this program?
I just think it is the consistency that I'm seeing every day. They really don't change anything. This week, they're not changing anything. So it comes down to the consistency. Barry Odom really cares about this program, about this city. He does his radio show. He does the Red Zone. He really does care about this community, about his players, about Las Vegas. His son played at Faith Lutheran. He's done a lot in the community to really embrace Las Vegas. And what an opportunity he has. I mean, this is Las Vegas. This is the sports capital. The 49ers were in his facility for the Super Bowl. He's really soaking it all in. And 19 games, 19 wins in the past 2 seasons. That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Pete, thank you so much. Well, it's conference championship season in college football, the best time of year. Teams pushing to crack a spot in the college football playoff, and that includes UNLV. Coming up, we're getting into the implications of Friday's Mountain West Championship game. Welcome back. For the second year in a row, the Rebels are headed back to the Mountain West Championship game, and once again, they're playing Boise State. What remains true is that the Rebels are trying to clinch their first Mountain West title. But as we know, this year's college football playoff has expanded to a 12-team format. So there's a seat at the table for the winner of this game. Paloma, how much does this raise the stakes here?
I think it's been the #1 topic all football season, this 12-team playoff, the expansion. Barry Odom knew it was coming. It's the first question I asked him at Mountain West Media Days, the 12-team playoff. How big is that in your building? And the players told me it's been the #1 topic in the building. So the fact that UNLV is here, win on Friday, and they're in the 12-team playoff, it's incredible to see. Like we mentioned, the 19 wins, so much history this season. It's been a ride. So it's awesome.
And from what we're seeing, there's predictions of brackets updated every single night. You got teams like Georgia, Oregon, Notre Dame, Penn State, all in the mix. Steve, can UNLV hang with the elite, do you think, if they do crack this 12-team format?
I think it's a matchup deal. So they'll be in the 12 spot. They'll play a 5. The 5 is actually going to be better than a 5 because there'll be a top 4 team or 2, school or 2 that will get bumped down. It's matchups. I mean, if they play Ohio State, I think it's a really tough game because Ohio State can really throw the ball. But the other schools, if they're run-based, I think they can compete. I think they can stop the run. So, to jump ahead is a little crazy right now because this assignment at Boise is going to be tough. And I think the interesting thing is I don't feel like there's a lot of pressure on UNLV football. If they win this appearance is gravy. They have a goal of getting to the playoff, but they're going to a bowl game. They have 10 wins. All the pressure is on Boise. They've played the entire season with a target on their back, and they were basically pointed out as the favorite to get that group of 5 spot, and now they're in this great position. Everyone's all mad that they're going to get a bye potentially if they win. The setup for this game is enormous, and is really there's only 3 true play-in games where the loser goes home or to a bowl game, and the 3 winners, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Mountain West, winner goes, loser doesn't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's just a 2-for-1 special if UNLV does get the win against Boise State. But Ray, what would those 2 things, a title and then advancing to the college football playoff, what would that mean for this city and for Rebel fans here?
Well, first off, the financial ramifications of getting in that game would give the program, in addition to the money they got to stay in the Mountain West, I think plenty of resources to give Barry Odom a contract comparable to what he might get on the open market to keep him here and continue to grow this. 40,000 people at 2 games this year. The ticket revenue alone north of $3 million per game. That money could funnel to fund other programs at UNLV. A win on Friday does so much more for the university than just getting a 12 seed in the college football playoff. I would say how the team has captured our emotions and our imagination speaks volumes. Everybody loves UNLV, not just me. I openly say I love UNLV as many times
You're
as I can
diehard,
say
man.
it. But we not just because I was born and raised
Right.
here. My dad took me to the games when Tark was doing his thing. And if you think back, right, UNLV invaded college basketball in 1977. They played fast-paced, up the court, shot a lot of three-pointers. It was a team at a university nobody heard of.
Right.
Now you fast forward all this years, you got this football program, right? Habitual 2-win seasons, playing in bad facilities. Now all of a sudden, this great new stadium, this really disciplined coach, all these cast-offs from other programs combining to give hope to the city where everybody thinks of us as, oh my gosh, we're going to come here, we're going to have fun, but really we're this great community and we love each other and we rallied around the Golden Knights, and now we're all at the edge of our seats to watch UNLV go try to do the unthinkable and beat Boise State, right? We're used to being ranked 108 out of 112. Now we could be 12 out of 12. That's great. We'll take it. So it's awesome.
Long story short, it's awesome. Ray just gave the ultimate speech around UNLV football and UNLV athletics. I really appreciate that. Paloma, you sit down with these players week after week. You know, you talk about this is kind of the jumping off point for this program at the helm of Barry Odom. What have these players said about why they've gravitated to UNLV and why they want to stick around and keep playing here?
To win.
Yeah.
To win. I mean, Jackson Woodard, Jalen Catalon, the guys from Arkansas followed Barry Odom out here to win. And that's all they've done with Barry Odom. And like Ray mentioned, just the financial growth, the exposure. Obviously, UNLV wants to move into a Power 4 conference eventually. You know, there's just so many positives that are going to come out of this season, whether they make the 12-team playoff or not. Like we mentioned, the bowl games, that's huge too. So statistically, you know, monetary, it's only going up for UNLV, which is really exciting to see. I know he has a new signing class that came out this week too. So it's just, it's nothing but positives right now with UNLV football. So it's been a joy to cover this team, see how the city has embraced this historical team, but it's definitely fueled this new love for college football and this pageantry in Las Vegas that's really, really exciting to see.
Yeah, regardless of the outcome, the needle is certainly going to be moved there. The countdown to the Mountain West Championship is on. Can the Rebels flip the script on the Broncos and claim their first title? Stick around, we've got some predictions coming your way. Welcome back. It all comes down to this Friday. The 20th ranked UNLV Rebels are headed to Idaho to face the 10th ranked Boise State Broncos. These programs are familiar with each other. This was the same matchup for last year's title game. They played each other back in October, where Boise State just edged out the Rebels with a final score of 29-24. The name everyone has had circled is Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, who the Rebels were really able to limit back in October. Steve, how can UNLV build upon that previous matchup, flip the script this time around?
Well, one, in terms of stopping them, I think they're a better defense than they were. They're running more looks than they had before. Their defensive line is playing better than it was. They also have Marcel McDuffie healthy. He tried to come back in that Boise game, and in the second half, he was probably like 70%. And the rotation of cornerbacks and run support, I think, is going to help. They had a really good game against Ashton Jeanty, but if you go back and watch the film, he also had about 7 times where he got into an open area, and hanging onto his toe was Jackson Woodard. So those can turn into big runs. They got to make sure they always use the word populate. You know, they got to have a lot of people to the ball. And the other thing is they got to fix the tight end situation, because the tight end got open way too many times. And do not let their quarterback, Maddox Madsen, go up the middle.
So from what I'm gathering, the offense is going to be there. This is all about the defense really stepping up and applying everything they know to this game, Paloma.
Yeah, Barry Odom mentioned 11 hats to the ball. Obviously, we're talking about Ashton Jeanty, who's a Heisman candidate. He's incredible. We said that, you know, UNLV did a really good job with him, but you mentioned the quarterback. He's been playing really well right now for Boise. He's been running a lot too, and in their game at Allegiant Stadium, I saw him. He had a few big runs. So, like you mentioned, Jackson Woodard, the entire defense, all 11 players, they got to be on top of the ball. And yeah, I think this game comes down to their defense just shutting down Boise State. UNLV 6-0 on the road, program record, 8 straight road games wins, so road wins, and we'll see what happens on Friday.
That's huge. The 8 road wins, just right. How impressive is that they have strung together that much victory on the road, not at home in Allegiant?
Yeah.
Are you not?
No, I
even
mean, I would say
surprised?
historically, UNLV would go seasons without winning on the road. So to say they're 6-0 on the road when, of course, this is the first time they've ever played in back-to-back bowl games is pretty significant. However, I think all of those 6 games didn't feature 30-some degree temperatures in a 40,000 seat sold out road environment. I think the game comes down to who could control the clock more with the run game. In the first game, you saw Boise in the fourth quarter kind of run things down. Big offensive line, really beat up UNLV. You saw at the end of the game, they were gassed. If UNLV could have some of those 3-yard in a cloud of dust drives like they did against Kansas and get some timely first downs and keep their defense fresh and Boise on the bench, maybe we got live action in the fourth quarter.
All right, really quick, we're going to go around predictions for this game. Steve.
I'm going to go, I picked against them all year, which has worked, right? They're 10-2. I'm going to go close victory for Boise, 27-23. The Kickers have a lot of responsibility in this one, but very close game.
All right.
I'm actually going Boise as well, close victory. Alumni Association card still intact. But I think it's going to be really nip and tuck, like 17-14. Low scoring, cold, move the stains type of thing.
Okay.
I have trust in Hodge Malik Williams and the
go,
go-go offense.
Let's go.
I think they score 38 points.
Woo!
I don't know, 38-34 UNLV.
Wow, she's got the big score. How much will these cold
baby.
temperatures factor in, do you think? UNLV plays in the cold all season. Are you just not?
I think they play better in
I think
these
it's a non-factor
rough
unless there's
Non-factor?
wind.
conditions.
Unless there's wind or sleet or something crazy. Come on, 30,
it's
30,
cold.
44 to 30.
Stevie,
All
it's
right.
cold for both teams, but they practice in 110 degree
I was
heat
gonna
every
say,
day
it's
in
true.
the summer.
They're battle
30,
tested.
All right, guys.
110.
Well, we got to cut this short. I love talking about temperatures. Thank you to my panel. We got Steve, we got Ray, we got Paloma. We could talk about this all day long. I'm Mariah Janos. See you later.